Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody. Whatever time this video makes it to your screen, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Chris from Mental Dive, and today I want to go more in depth about, in my opinion, the top 20 things you can do to just get more green in your pocket, especially in your 20s. I'm currently attempting to do all these things. I think I got 4 out of 5 right now, and it's honestly, results are positive, so I thought it'd be worth it throwing a post together and throwing a video about it. So my name is Chris. As always, let me get myself up the screen here, and we can get started. Do this in your 20s to make more moolah. So best 5 things you can do to grow your wallet in your 20s. Invest in yourself, invest in your health, Roth IRA, get a certified public accountant, and open up a flipping credit card. Now, what does all this mean? Don't worry about it because we're about to talk through every single one. So invest in yourself. What does that mean? That means putting some money up front to learn a new skill that can make you more money later. So yeah, a lot of us in our 20s, me included, don't have much money. Any investment I put in myself, that is definitely going to be debt, and debt is scary. And I thought the whole point of being financially stable was not have to deal with debt. But this is a very good kind of debt. There's good and bad debt. Good debt is debt you have up front that makes you more money later, and that will eventually pay off that debt that you had to get into to learn that new skill. Now you can take the traditional route, like what I did. I went to college, got a few degrees, and it's working out well. You don't have to go to college. You can go to trade school, get your real estate license. There's something, learn a new skill, learn a skill that is needed. If you learn a skill that is needed and you do some, it's not hard to Google stuff and to find out what skill is needed and what skill might be needed 30 years from now, like from now till 30 years from now, and then boom, there you go. Learn that thing, get paid for it, invest in yourself. I think that's pretty much almost number one. Number two, your health. Okay, this is actually number one. It doesn't matter how much money you make if you're not healthy enough to enjoy it. You could be making trillion, billion, zillion dollars, but if you're just overweight, stuck in a wheelchair, and can't walk, then like, what's the point? So simply put, the best advice I ever got about your health is imagine the scenario that you only get one car your whole life. From the time you turn 16 till the time you can no longer, like your whole life, you get one car. How would you treat it? You take care of it, hopefully. Get the oil change. You would get the tires changed when needed. And you would re-grease your bearings when needed. Get regular maintenance on it. Well, guess what? Take away the car, put your body in the picture. You only get one. So the things I try to do is just, I'm not a super health nut, but I definitely try to balance. Eat right, try not to go longer than 3 days without some kind of exercise. Get the proper, if you're into some kind of sport that involves like cardio or something, that's fantastic. Get the proper equipment to do that sport safely and correctly so you won't hurt yourself. And simply put, your health is everything. You get one body in this life, and treat it well. Next thing, Roth IRA. That sounds boring, and that's kind of because it is, but it's actually really flipping helpful. So if you work for a larger company, you might heard of a Roth something or IRA something. The company I work for does something similar to this, but it's pretty much just a savings account that you can purchase things like stocks or ETFs, and it grows over time. So what does Roth mean? So Roth means that this account, you pay the taxes up front. So example, I actually have pretty much a Roth IRA for one of my retirement accounts. And I put money into it, and then I pay the taxes out of it. So that means, say I reach the golden age of, I think it's like 59 and a half, when you can actually access these accounts, and say you have 200,000 in there. Now you actually get that whole 200K because you already paid the taxes on that account. And plus in your 20s, this is likely the least amount of money you'll be making in your career, whatever you're doing, is in your 20s. So it's kind of better to be taxed now while you're in a lower tax bracket for this account. Because if you do something like this later in life and you're making more money, the more money you make, the more money you actually don't get to keep. So that's something that no one ever told me. So I guess that's just part of this whole adulting thing. A Roth IRA, I think, is really important. It also gets you introduced in the stock market. It gets you introduced to learning how to deal with like gains and losses. One day you open your account and you're up $1,000. Heck yeah. The next day you're down 2,000. You're like, holy crap, time to sell everything. But you just ride the wave, and it's always been, the entire history of the US stock market has in the long game, always been positive. But Roth IRA, I believe, is extremely beneficial. And obviously do your own research before getting into any of this, but in the top 5, it's in there. So the next thing, when you do your taxes, so in your 20s, that's the first time you're likely going to have to do your taxes. That's the first time I ever had to do mine. I just had one of those websites where you just had your form you got from your job and you plugged all your numbers in there, and bada bing, bada boo, done in like 45 minutes. Sweet. Well, I had a buddy at work who, he was the same position as me, so I knew we got paid pretty much the same. And he got way more money back than I did, and I was kind of like, what the heck? But he went to an actual CPA, a certified public accountant. And there's people in this world who their entire job is to legally get you the most money back on your taxes. And the next time I'm doing mine, I'm definitely going to a CPA, because my buddy got like thousands more back than I did, and we make the same amount. So granted, I don't know his whole like deal. I just assume that you do the same I do. I assume that we'll get the same amount back, but we didn't. So I'm definitely going to a CPA next time doing my taxes. So I think it's highly recommended. Now, the last thing in the short little video is open up a credit card. Honestly, before you're 20, I think you can open up a credit card with like a parent's signature or something like that, if you're fortunate enough to be in that situation. But what is a credit card? A credit card is a piece of plastic that pretty much in the end game produces a report card that tells banks if you're worthy of giving out loans to. So your credit score, that's kind of like your grade in your class. So when you're 20, that gives you, and you open up a credit card, that gives you the longest time duration to build that positive credit score. So later in life, like I'm 24 right now, I don't want to buy a house yet, but I know in probably 3 to 4 years I will. So I've been currently doing the buy a couple things here and there on your credit card, pay it off before it's due every month, and that's literally it. And then your credit score will build and build and build, and then you'll have a healthy credit score that banks will look at and say, you want a house loan? Sure. You want a vehicle loan? Sure. And having good credit, it's one of those things where if you have good credit, you never think about, but if you don't have good credit, it'll definitely bite you in the butt when you try to make huge purchases, and then it's not great. And then if you have to get a house loan with a poor credit score, I believe the interest is just oodles higher, and there's more fees, and it ends up just hurting you more in the long run. So open up a credit card. All you got to do is pay it off before it is due every month, and that is it. And there you go, guys. That is the 5 things I believe you should do in your 20s to get more moolahs in your pocket later down the road. Thank you so much again for watching. My name is Chris from Mental Dive. We have an Instagram now. Check us out at mentaldive.com. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out the blog if you have time. The link will be down in the subscription. Thank you all so much. I'll see you on the next one.